Let's talk advice with your host, Jonah Keen. Welcome to the Jonah Keen Podcast. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the first episode of the Jonah Keen Podcast. With me today is a very special guest who is, we may not agree on everything politically, but he is a very good advice giver, and I'm just very honored to have him on our show. He's the author of 12 Rules for Life, a best-selling book, I believe, and welcome, Jordan B. Peterson.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here. It's always been an honor to have a fellow podcaster. And it's a pleasure to be here.
I'm very glad. I'm going to update the listeners real quick on why the Jonah Keen Podcast is even existing, because I'm sure most people listening may be a little confused. I'm sure you're confused too, Jordan, that I'm not running the KidTube Entertainment Podcast anymore.
Confused is an understatement.
Unfortunately, some events went down with Pinna, the company that was hosting me, and they actually had to shut it down because I wasn't producing enough content for a month for them, because I kept taking trips to Aruba, which is one of my favorite places on the planet to enjoy, and so they were taking away
but do you see then where the problem lies? It's not with Pinna. Where do you think the problem was?
Jordan, just let me explain, and we'll get to you.
Okay, I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm getting ahead of myself.
Jordan, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves here. Let me just explain to the viewers, and then we can get right to you, okay? Just be patient.
Great.
Okay, so Pinna shut down KidTube Entertainment, mainly because I was producing enough content for a month, even though there's no deal or signing of anything. Which I think may be a legal issue, but I can't really afford a lawyer right now because I spent all my money going to Aruba. However, I'm going to come back, going to make some money with this Jonah Keen Podcast, and hopefully this should turn out okay in the end. So Jordan, you may not know this, but this podcast, Jonah Keen Podcast, is going to be fully centered around advice. And this idea really all started around when my friend Ralph, who's one of my bestest friends, he, one day at Dave & Buster's, called me Mr. Advice because I gave some good advice to one of the bartenders at that bar. And so this podcast is going to be solely centered around mainly advice. Later in the episode, we're going to be talking to Samuel Johnson about advice, Oregon-themed advice, and I brought you on because you're such a huge advice freak. So, Jordan, do you have any advice? Just some basic advice to start off the episode?
Well, so I'd like to start off by talking about myself. I know that may paint me as a narcissist to the common folk. However, there are definitely healthy forms of narcissism, or as Jung would put it, a healthy self-ego. Sometimes I find myself talking in great lengths about deeds that I've accomplished throughout my tenure here, but it always pleases me when I say these things out loud. But therein lies the problem.
Okay, let's stop right there. I have no idea what you just said about Jung. What advice are you giving here? Can you just maybe explain this in just simpler terms for maybe someone not as
sure.
Yeah.
As you stated very eloquently. I should say I know your show is an advice show, and not so bad show, I might add. It's only appropriate that as a guest on your show that I dish. Sort of a pun there. Out some advice of my own when it comes to a bloody good bread pudding.
Wait, stop right there. You're giving us advice on repeat that one more time. You're giving us advice on bread pudding?
Well, yes, but that's partial. Uh, I'm giving you good advice on how to make a bloody good bread pudding. Is
Uh,
that clear?
all right. I guess it's not exactly what I wanted the first episode to be, but you know what? I'm here for the ride. Jordan, take us away on your bloody, what is it again? Bloody good bread
Bloody
pudding?
good bread pudding.
It's kind of a tongue twister.
Well, in Canada, it's not.
All right, Jordan, shoot for the moon and tell us about your bloody pudding.
Yeah, well, I may be known for my controversial best-selling books. You can't see it, Jonah, but I'm doing air quotes for controversial because my books are basic common sense for how men and women should behave in their daily lives. Yet the leftist powers that be, whether it be cancel culture or just radical feminism, whatever politically correct absolute nonsense they spew out at universities and college campuses throughout the Western world, are impressionable young people. But really, I thought it was about bloody time. I wrote something all the masses can find accessible and, God willing, life changing, whether you're a woman in her traditional setting of raising the children and tending the kitchen, or unfortunately, a man on his own with no choice but to cook for himself. This book is for everybody. Or I suppose I should clarify this book is for anybody who has the audacity to examine his life for what it really is, a failure.
Okay, all right, so is this a wait? Let me get this straight. Are you introducing a book? Is this a book
Yes.
I'm hearing? Okay, tell us about this book.
The title, which it took me quite a lot of study groups and a lot of brainstorming. I lied awake late at night, many nights. But I ended up calling it Dr. Jordan B. Peterson's Bloody Good Bread Pudding: How Postmodern Radical Feminism is Dismantling the Modern Male.
Well, that's a fantastic title. I may not agree on the politics. I'm more of a, as you say, leftist. However, I mean,
We're not all perfect.
you're right about that one. Um, so tell us more about this book. Are you talking about politics or radical feminism, or are you talking about bread pudding? Because I'm a little
Well, for what
confused
your
here.
show is about, is advice, and I believe this is the ultimate vehicle for advice by getting through a bloody good dessert, which is called bread pudding. And here's the ingredient checklist. And by checklist, I mean a list of steps to follow precisely. Now, the fundamental ingredient is definitely going to start with 6 slices of day old bread. Fresh bread simply won't do. More than 1 day old is just utter garbage. It must be day old bread. Next is 2 tablespoons of butter, melted. Now, I cannot emphasize this enough. The butter must be melted. Solid butter is a damn joke. It's a joke. Melt the butter and don't complain. The problem is with you, not the butter. It couldn't be an easier concept to grasp.
Okay, okay, Jordan, I understand you don't like melted butter. I get that. But I'm more of a melted butter head myself. Why are you so against melted butter?
No, it must be melted. Clearly, you're not listening to the concepts I am giving on your show free of charge. I said the butter must be melted.
Oh, so, okay. Well, whatever you say. Just can we go on to the next ingredient, perhaps?
Yes. Half cup raisins, optional. Now, you want to know a secret, Jonah?
Mm-hmm.
There is no optional. Optional is not an option. This is the same when it comes to life. If you decide that things in life are suddenly optional, then what is your aim in life? Look at what you're doing right now. Right now, are you organized? Look at your room. Is it organized? Is there chaos? These examinations are not optional. Hell, if anything you do throughout the day is optional, then what's the purpose? What if no one decided the ARC were optional? By which I mean, why? Why? Yeah, it's a test.
Jordan, he asked if my room was clean, and I don't know if that was just you going off on a tangent.
It's a hypothetical.
Well, my room is clean, but in fact, there is mold in my apartment because I'm currently not in the nicest of apartments right now. And the landlord has taken weeks to get back to me, but it's not my fault. Okay, so.
Now, there's an ancient concept, feudalism.
I couldn't agree more, Jordan. Maybe me and you could get along after all. Do you want to get on to the next ingredient, Jordan?
Sure. 4 eggs beaten. Which this brings me to my next point about the industrial egg business. The way the workplace is modeled doesn't work. Look at the women in the modern workplace. Makeup, rouge, lipstick. All methods of seducing men in the workplace.
Wow,
Seduction is sexual. The purpose is for sexual reproduction and propagation of the species and so on. This would never work in the chicken business. When a man is seduced, all he wants to do after that is to somehow fertilize the egg of the seducer. This would never work with the chicken business. It's nonsense. So now we're in a situation where we have to figure out how to continue to get millions of unfertilized eggs for daily consumption. But how? Keep the women away from the men. Hens are separated from the roosters from birth so that these women can focus on their purpose to lay eggs. Now, if they're too busy having to, make themselves desirable for men, then not only would we have a worldwide shortage of unfertilized eggs, but there would be also a worldwide shortage in working hens because now they have seduced a man and settled down in their nest. What do? Keep the women out. Keep them away from the roosters. It's that simple. Keep the damn hens in the hen house. And the roosters can go on about their business at the end of the day. And at the end of the day, we all benefit from the outcome.
Jordan, I think what I'm taking away from all this is, one, all these ingredients seem pretty political, and I'm trying not to have a political show, but I will let you continue because I probably will get more listens that way. I mean, and two, that last one seemed kind of like you're not in support of women in general.
Well, this is where you have a disadvantage because of your limited amount of intellect in this arena because the roles of men and women aren't political. It's the left. The left has made them political.
Excuse me?
Drunk the Kool-Aid.
Excuse me, I am a member of the left, and I will stand up to your BS, Mr. Peterson.
Well, clearly you need to buy some of my books or watch some of my lectures, but to continue on, 2 cups of milk. Okay, this goes in tandem with what I said before. Keep the damn cows away from the bulls. Now, I know I'm going to get in a little bit of trouble for this, but next is 3/4 cup white sugar. White sugar. Hell, do we really need to address this?
Jordan, this ingredients list starts, Jordan, your ingredients list, it kind of seems like it has some racial undertones. I mean, that kind of seems racist, talking about white sugar versus brown sugar versus other types of sugar. Are you okay with all types of sugars? I mean, what's going on here?
No, this is about the how sugar is processed from the raw cane into the factories, and then the other corruptions that get put into the sugar to flavor it, such as molasses and other such adulterations. But I wouldn't think that you would be in any way privy to this because it's just something that most common folk and with a limited intellect don't have any access to or any desire to further their knowledge of. But I digress, because then comes 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon and 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, both of which We can thank the ancient people of the Orient for their discoveries. I highly doubt that they had the same turmoil we experience by mixing men and women in the workplace. It's not hard.
Mr. Peterson,
Doctor, please.
sorry. Dr. Peterson, it sounds like you're just reading from your book. I mean, are you reading from your book? I mean, you already talked about how you wrote this whole new book about the pudding representing feminism or something. I don't even know. I wasn't listening. However, you seem like you're just talking about a bread pudding recipe and making it political. Is that what's going on right now? Are you pulling my leg?
Step 1. Preheat the oven to 175 degrees Celsius. If you use Fahrenheit, you can bloody well go to hell and re-examine your life's choices, which I believe
Mr.
you're
Peterson
doing right now, because you clearly haven't heard a word I've been saying. Hell, this isn't difficult.
Mr. Peterson, I live in the United States. We use Fahrenheit. We do not use Celsius. I don't know what the heck you're going on about.
No, you see, this is where I start to get heated, but I'm going to try to, because it's your show and I'm respectable. I'm respectful. And also respectable. I'm a bloody doctor. Hell, if you are too lazy to get onto the internet and look up the conversion scale for Fahrenheit to degrees Celsius, then you could probably go to hell. Because that's basically where Fahrenheit is used, because it's so bloody hot.
Okay, so, I apologize. You can move on to the next step in making the bread pudding. Just go ahead. I'll just let you talk. I'll sit back.
The second step. Break bread into small pieces into an 8-inch square baking pan. Now, here comes my favorite. You want to drizzle the melted butter over the bread. If desired, sprinkle with the raisins. Again, this is a test. The raisins are not optional. It makes me want to vomit when I think about what a waste of life would be with optional raisins. Step 3. In a medium mixing bowl, not large, not small, get your act together and follow directions. Combine the eggs, milk, sugar, cinnamon, and vanilla. Beat until well mixed. This is where men would have a biological advantage with beating these ingredients to ensure that they are well mixed. Raw masculine strength is not something to be shy about and is almost required to accomplish what you need and who you actually need to be and who you are, not who you aren't. Pour over the bread and lightly push down with a fork. This would be better for a woman, until bread is covered in soaking up the egg mixture. And then finally, step 4, bake in the preheated oven for 45 minutes. Then you've done it right when you can absorb the correct calories, protein, carbohydrates, fat, cholesterol, and sodium. It is something to behold, especially when we consider the alternative to be hell.
Well, that was a little extreme, Mr. Peterson. I think maybe...
Please, doctor.
Definitely don't need to consider hell over bread pudding. There's more than 2 options in life. That's all I'll say. That's some advice from me, Jonah Mr. Advice Keen.
It's more of a figurative, and your version of your own figurative hell is all dependent on your life's choices and your mindset when it comes to your success in life and whether or not you are going to be a success in life. And well, and you might think I'm new to this podcast business. Well, I've been thinking about YouTube and podcasts quite intensely for about 2 years. I started putting my university lectures on YouTube in 2013. I did that for a variety of reasons, mostly curiosity and the drive to learn. I found that if you want to learn a technology, the best way to do it is to use it. I'm always learning new technologies. Not that makes me particularly unique, and I had some success with my lectures on public television in Canada, I did some lectures with this series called Big Ideas on Canadian public television.
Oh, I've never heard of it.
Well, there are about 200 of those lectures, and I did 5 of them. 200 done by 200 different people, but I did 5. So I clearly did more than the rest of them. And they were regularly in the top 10 of the most viewed lectures. So I knew there was some broader market for, let's say, ideas. I thought, well, hell, I might as well put my lectures up on YouTube and see what happens. And then, by April of 2016, I had 1 million views. And I thought, the only reason people are watching these is because they want to watch them, because they're actually really hard. 1 million of something is a lot. If you sell 1 million copies of your book, well, first of all, that never happens, right? It's very, very rare. You never have your scientific paper cited 1 million times. You rarely have $1 million. It's a very large number. The problem with books and videos is that you can't do anything else while you're doing them, right? When you're reading, you're reading. When you're watching a video, you can be distracted, but you have to pay attention to the video. But if you're listening to a podcast, you can be driving a forklift, a long-haul truck, or you can be exercising, or most importantly, baking my bloody good bread pudding. Anyway, it's been a hell of a pleasure being here. And I know your listeners, however many they may be, definitely not in the millions, are better people because of it. Thank you.
Okay. Well, Mr. Jordan Peterson, thank you for sharing your pudding recipe, your bread pudding recipe. Thank you for talking about your. I have no idea what you were talking about half the time. I was really kind of.
Nope, honestly, I cannot believe I've been subjugated. Subjected is the actual word I'm looking for. That's how discombobulated you've gotten me at this point, at this juncture in the interview. And I believe I'm going to tend to my own life as bloody well you should be, because your life sounds like hell.
Mr. Peterson, an interview is a two-sided conversation. I'm interviewing you, I'm asking you questions, but instead of answering or even letting me ask any of my questions that I spent hours writing down and working on and pondering, since I'm currently jobless and all I do is go to Dave & Buster's and prepare for the podcast, I have plenty of deep and thoughtful questions like what's your favorite color? I'm going to be straight with you. You've been completely dominant in this interview. It's not even an interview anymore. It's you just talking and me being subjugated to your nonsense. And I hope I don't have you on the show ever again. Before you can pretty much respond to what I just said, I do want to give thanks to our sponsor. Now, I couldn't really find a sponsor right off the bat. However, I do have something coming up with myself. It's something I am getting started, and it's called AdviceCon 2021. Let me read the poster aloud. Join us in Aruba for AdviceCon 2021 with special guests, Jonah, Mr. Advice Keen, which is yours truly. We also have Damien J. Trout, who will actually be on the next episode, so catch him there. And we also have Professor Michael Hamilton. Now, he's one of my very close friends. Me, Damien, and Michael will all be there at AdviceCon 2021. I don't have an official date lined up yet. The Aruba Convention Center hasn't really gotten back to me, but I'm hoping to book it. Let's hope for late 2021, maybe around the Christmas season. So if you don't have a lot of family to go to and visit during the holidays, you can go to AdviceCon in Aruba. And we're hoping to get the catering by Dave & Buster's. So that is AdviceCon 2021. Thank you, AdviceCon, for sponsoring this episode. And now let's get talking to Mr. Oregon-themed advice. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Jonah Keen Podcast. After that short commercial break, I'm here with Sandy Johnson.
Hello there, everybody.
and I'm here because he is self-proclaimed Sandy, Mr. Oregon-themed advice Johnson. Could we get maybe a background on yourself, your personal life, demographics, etc.?
Well, we've lived here in Canby, Oregon for 25 years, but I first moved to Oregon back in 1964. And so I lived in Ashland, Oregon, where I attended middle school and I graduated from high school in 1967. So that was my first beginnings here in Oregon.
Well, that's wonderful, actually. So I'm going to ask you some questions just on Oregon, just a few things, because I'm not actually from Oregon. I'm actually from Indianapolis, Indiana. Go Pacers! And I actually just moved out here, give or take 4 years ago, to live near my wife's family. However, that relationship has ended, so I'm just trying to make my way through this Oregon landscape, and I figured you could give me some tips and tricks on the Oregon lifestyle.
Well, Oregon has always had some of the most beautiful places to visit anywhere in the country. In fact, it's kind of famous for having the 7 wonders of Oregon. I don't know if you've heard of that before.
I have not heard of it before. Could you please, do you know all the 7 wonders?
The 7 wonders of Oregon are...
Yeah? What is it?
The Columbia River Gorge.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Crater Lake.
Oh, yeah.
The Painted Hills over in eastern Oregon. And Smith Rock, which is also there in eastern Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
The Wallowa Mountains in eastern Oregon by Joseph.
Oh, by Joseph, yeah.
Mount Hood.
Mm-hmm.
And the Oregon coast, actually the whole Oregon coast. Those are the 7 wonders of Oregon.
Wow. Wonderful. Well, I guess I'll have to write those down and check them off a list and visit all of them. I haven't really done a lot of traveling since I've lived here, so I definitely need to check those places out. I heard from a chirping pigeon that Oregonians like to get rough and wild outdoors. So what are some maybe fun outdoor activities for a divorced and broke man like myself?
Well, honestly, Oregon's going to really provide you with a variety. You could do anything. Well, I was thinking of what should we talk about? Should we talk about mountains? Should we talk about rivers? Should we talk about lakes? Oregon has them all. Should we talk about how many rivers Oregon has that flow north their whole route? But anyway, the activities would be like fishing, hunting, hiking would be a big one. My son back in 2016. There'd be skiing, a whole tour out of just going wine tours, beer tours, Mexico to Canada, kite flying, sandcastle building, of course, tide pool exploring. Those are just some suggestions for you.
Wow, I really do get why they call you Sandy, Mr. Oregon-themed advice Johnson. You really have a lot of advice on Oregon. Quick question, just more for me, less than the audience. Are there any good bars around here? Because my go-to is Dave & Buster's, which is a great bar. It's a great place. It has arcade games. It has male and female bathrooms. It has pretty much everything there is to offer. But I did meet my best friends there too. But I do need maybe a new place.
Yeah, that I'm not going to be able to answer. I have absolutely no experience in that area of life.
Oh,
so, sorry about that.
Oh, no worries. I'll just stick to Dave & Buster's. It is my favorite anyway. Okay, I actually, not just for you, but for everyone, introducing a new segment to the podcast. And it's actually kind of a mix of a lot of different things. It's a mix of Family Feud, Jeopardy, a lot of trivia games, including Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? It's called Oregon is Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? And that is the new segment of the show. So, Skylar, are you ready? I'm actually gonna ask you 5 different questions, and hopefully you should be able to answer them, all Oregon related. Are you ready, Shane?
Are you talking to me? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, ask me.
I'm just trying to explain the game, and then I think we're ready. So let's do this.
Okay. I thought maybe you had somebody that was calling you or something.
First question, there's going to be 5 questions in total. Question 1. A mountain is defined as a large natural elevation of the Earth's surface rising abruptly from the surrounding level, a large steep hill. What is the biggest mountain in the state?
I believe it's Mount Hood.
Of Montana. You didn't let me
of
finish.
Montana, I'm sorry. Montana, I do not know. I'm sorry.
Well, it actually is Wilson Peak. Nice try. It's all right. We still got 4 more questions to go. You still have the time to prove yourself. Prove yourself that you are indeed Sergio, Mr. Oregon-themed advice Johnson. Next question. Marijuana is defined as a psychoactive drug from the cannabis plant used primarily for medical and recreational purposes. How many cannabis dispensers are in the state of Oregon circa 2019?
2019. I know that they have been going up almost exponentially, but the number, it would just be a total guess. I'd say probably 800.
Oh, that's a little high of our goal. It is actually around 665 circa 2019.
Okay.
Which is okay. We still have 3 more questions. You still got a chance to win this. Don't worry, no sweat. Next question. College is defined as an educational institution or establishment. In particular, one providing higher education or specialized professional or vocational training. What school is the school I plan to enroll my 2 children into when the time comes?
There's a lot of, are you talking only ones in Oregon?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Well, it kind of depends in Oregon on whether the student that you have or the child you have, if they were in drama, in, let's say, for example, arts, they want to become an engineer, or music, they should either go to Southern Oregon University or Eugene, or University of Oregon. University of Oregon, theater, music, drama. I think I said University even though all universities, Southern Oregon University, I hope I got that right, all in Ashland, the different disciplines. Some of the schools are better than others.
Well, my children are just 3 and 1, so it's a little early to call. But I was planning on enrolling them in the Lewis and Clark University. But
Lewis and Clark, yes.
I heard some good things about it. Got some good words on it.
I wasn't thinking of the private ones. Sure. That's a good one.
That was question number 3. Question number 4. Are you ready?
Yeah.
A city is a large human settlement. It can be defined as a permanent and densely settled place with administratively defined boundaries whose members work primarily on non-agricultural tasks. Cities generally have extensive systems for housing, transportation, sanitation, utilities, land use, and communication. The city of Portland is the largest city in the state of Oregon. What is the name of the city's first openly gay mayor who first started his run in 2009?
Wasn't that Mayor Davis?
It was not. It was actually Sam Adams. Mayor Sam Adams. Yeah. That's kind of a silly name, Sam Adams. It's kind of close to your name. Final question, question 5. Hockey is a sport in which 2 teams play against each other by trying to maneuver a ball or a puck into the opponent's goal using a hockey stick. There are many types of hockey, such as bandy, field hockey, ice hockey, and rink hockey. What is the name of the Portland hockey team?
Oh, the Timbers.
No, that is the flip. That's the soccer team.
Oh, the soccer team. Well, that's right.
The hockey team is the Portland Winterhawks.
Winter Hawks. Got it.
A little boring, I'd say. I want to make a quick comment on the name. Yeah, I'd prefer if they called it maybe like the Portland Native Americans or even the Portland Cherokees to respect my culture and bring some relevance to the Cherokee name because I am actually 39% Cherokee. I recently found out using a 23andMe test.
Huh.
So I do want them to respect that in some sort of light if they could maybe get on that.
All right.
Yeah. So anything else you'd like to add, or is that gonna anything you want to tell the viewers? We get almost over 10,000 viewers for listeners for show. So if you have anything to maybe share.
Well, the only thing else I thought of was because I was
If they were
raised
in
in
drama,
Southern Oregon, down that
arts,
way, I thought I'd
or
mention
always
music,
think about
they should
going
either
to
go to
maybe some
Southern
Oregon,
Oregon, they have
some
industrial caves down that way, down toward Medford.
it's
just
something
south
south
of
there.
there.
People don't know.
I think I said
goes
you
all
were
the way
seeing
to
something
Southern
called
Southern
Southern
Oregon
Oregon
rivers.
Road. I hope
Right,
I
and then
understand
the
Red
river
River
itself
itself.
got
Good.
there's
There's
a
a place
place
to
to
go
go
on
and
Ashland,
jet
the other place to
all
go
the way to
slam
the
the ocean if you want to. So I just thought I'd mention a few things from my Southern Oregon area.
Oh, that's great, Stefan. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. It means a lot. It means a lot that under the face of my anti-penna stance that you'd still be willing to join. And it means a lot. Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah, you're very welcome.